Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is Phobos with BronzeLeagueGaming, bringing you another Starcraft 2 replay. Today we got a 2v2 going on between the Teal Terran Lawrence and his teammate ChrisChua. Chris is good enough for me. As the Purple Protoss, and their opponents, the Red Zerg TriLObyTE and his teammate, TheOne. I'm just going to call him one, actually, as the purple-blue Protoss. So it's a Terran and Protoss versus a Zerg and Protoss. And I believe TriLObyTE sent this one in. Thank you very much for the submission, TriLObyTE. Happy to cast this game for you. Beginning here is perfectly standard, just normal mineral gathering. Nothing really weird going on yet. The only strange thing is we did see the extractor trick, but that's really not that strange to begin with. So, do see that first pylon has gone down, and we're seeing a forge first, which is rather indicative of cannon rushing or turtling. And it's kind of hard to cannon rush in twos, so I'm going to go ahead and say turtling. Go ahead and bring that production tab up. Do you see that barracks is going on the way up? TheOne has his gateway out, and TriLObyTE is actually starting his extractor now. No spawning pool yet, though. Do have the scout just poking around, saw what was up in here, and is moving on the way back over. Gonna see what's over here now, I guess. Nope. Didn't get built there. I wonder how long it's gonna take Chris here to notice that he put. There he goes. Alright. Not a lot going back here either. Second, the cybernetics core is going down for TheOne here, as well as that spawning pool. These guys are playing really close to their timings. He is getting kind of a lot of minerals there, TriLObyTE is. I don't know if he's saving up for a queen or zerglings or just a mass of drones all at once or something, but I'm not sure why you would do that. Do see a gas deal go down for TriLObyTE against the Chris. He ends up canceling it. Looks like he just wanted to stay around for a few seconds longer and see what kind of play Chris here was going for. Do have this frontal wall off. Do have a tech lab on that Rax, so we're going to see a Reaper coming out of there. Interesting choice, but does grab some valuable scout information. Those Reapers take a long time to build, though. Or train, I guess. You don't really build people. You have a really quick robo facility on the way out. Maybe for observers, maybe for mortals, maybe he's going Colossus tech. Kind of early to tell at this point. Do have a forge and gateway with the cybernetics core to back it all up. Rather a solid wall here. The only thing that I can point at, really, is all this is powered by one pylon. If that gets taken out, all this is toast. And the Reaper is out. Looks like we have a proxy barrack factory going down by Lawrence here. Reaper pokes up. I guess is going to check for an expansion and then poke back over here. That Reaper is going to scout that really fast robo facility. So these guys are going to be able to tell that there's no real early pressure coming from the Protoss at this point. No speedling research yet. Do have a Stargate coming out for Chris here. That Reaper is inside. It is picking off probes pretty well. Where is it? Come on. It's got 3 kills already. Sniping quite a few of them, actually. Nice micro by that by Lawrence here for that Reaper. He really needs to get a stalker or something out. There's an observer, but that's really not going to help him. Oh my goodness. Finally the Reaper goes down after, I believe, 6 kills. Do have a drone hiding here in the back. Probably going to grab some information a little bit later at the stage. Nothing coming out of that warp gate, that Stargate yet. Do have another Stargate on the way out, though. Where'd that observer go? I have no idea. There it is. Alright. And TheOne is going to be able to scout that double Stargate. Do have Void Rays coming out. Random gas extractor going down here. Interesting choice. That factory actually lifted off, and I don't think the one can see that actually. He does. It's barely on the edge of his vision, but will the one notice it in time? There it goes. Dude, that you need to step like, no, what are you doing? You need to step like 3 steps forward, my friend. Quick. And we got stalkers out for the one. Still, we finally have an expansion for TriLObyTE, and some roaches are out on the field now. They're really not going to do well against the void rays here, but they probably will handle these marines and the front wall pretty well. Like I said, if they just take out that pylon, but he goes after the Terran player first. Very good positioning by those marines actually. Only letting 1 or 2 of those roaches engage at a time, but really was not enough. Looks like we saw a mass repair going down, but the front wall has already crumbled. Roaches are in the base. The void rays are on the way to back it up, which is really going to tip the hand for Chris here. TriLObyTE and Chris are well aware of what both are doing. That factory is on the way back. Decided that the Immortal and the Stalkers were just a little too much for a single factory. He's losing a lot of lost, what is that, 3 roaches now to those void rays, and it looks like we have 3 void rays on the field now. Finally they're starting to back off, but we have more in production. Siege Tech coming down for that factory. There we go. Got 2 factories and 2 racks for Lawrence here. And 3 racks actually, sorry, my bad. Tech Lab is going back up for Lawrence. He's reconstructing that frontal wall. Going to take out that extractor just because it bothers him, and he lost his wall to a bunch of roaches from TriLObyTE. Alright, do you have a sizable group of stalkers building mass here, gathering forces, but he needs to move out before these void rays reach that critical mass number and just, you know, start obliterating everything. We do have the one moving out though, so hopefully he does something here quick. Looks like we see a meet in the middle. I'm gonna say they're actually gonna go after the top and then change their mind and go after the bottom. Huh. Okay. Nope, they are committing to the top here. They need to break that wall down quick. We're losing a lot of roaches and a lot of stalkers to that firepower. There's a lot of heavy anti-armor stuff going in there. Lost all his stalkers. These roaches are not going to survive long against just marauders and void rays. That attack did not go well for the one in TriLObyTE. Committed quite a bit to it, lost everything, and only managed to break down the wall and kill a couple of tanks. Not a good trade in my opinion. Do have a couple of reinforcement roaches on the way back now. Those marauders are finishing concussive shell, so that'll just make them much more deadly. Against this army composition, the marauders are going to be beast mode here. Just tear apart everything. Those void rays didn't take a lick of damage. I was actually quite impressed by the timing of the void rays in that engagement. Lawrence knew to focus down those stalkers quickly enough and just let Chris mop up the roaches with his void rays. You have a frontal wall going down here. Man, that's a lot of kids. Bunker down here at the bottom of the ramp. Just make the walk around time that much longer. Holy cow. We do have this expansion pretty well saturated though. So in the economic turn of things, I do believe that TriLObyTE and TheOne are in the lead. Oh yeah. Lawrence is pulling quite a few minerals, but he's got mules, and even that isn't quite competing with TriLObyTE at this point. Do have Lawrence here grabbing this top tower actually. Pretty smart. This little guy's toast. Huh. There it goes. Alright, and we do have an expansion for both players on this team going down now. Team 2, I guess, since these guys are usually the original 1v1 colors, so I guess this is Team 2. It doesn't really matter. Do have an expansion engineering bay going down for Lawrence, but no upgrades coming out of it yet. We still see Chris just cranking out Void Ray still. Hasn't got many upgrades for him though. No air upgrades on those Void Rays yet. Besides Concussive Shell, the Marauders don't have much of anything either. But against Roaches and Stalkers, you don't need a whole lot. We do see TriLObyTE switching from Roaches to Hydralisks with quite a few Queens backing them up. At this point, I would almost say Infestor would be maybe the best way to counter all those Void Rays. Maybe. I'm not sure about that at all, though. Do have a lot of Hydralisks coming out for TriLObyTE, as well as quite a few Queens. There we see Lawrence grabbing a bunch of upgrades. He does have an armory on the field now. Must have missed that. No. Yeah, no, sorry. Thought that Infernal Pre-Igniter was level 1 mech upgrade, but miscall there. Sorry about that, people. Do have the one grabbing a forge. It's a little late for that. Where is it? Must be one of these buildings. There it is. And hopefully he grabs some upgrades pretty quick on it. Otherwise, his units are going to become pretty ineffective pretty quickly. TriLObyTE just grabbing more Hydralisks still. I think he actually needs to expand pretty soon because he is burning through money quite quickly. You have a bunch of Queens just hiding out everywhere. Jeez, that's a lot of defense right there. I would almost just put a Nidus Canal and warp a bunch of Hydralisks into the main here. If he can knock out those starports, that's really going to put a dampener on Chris's production abilities because he really only has one warp gate. There we see air weapons and armor going down for Chris. Do see level 1 weapons upgrades coming out for TheOne as well. Robos are an interesting, well, against those Marauders, I guess that would be a very good choice. I'm worried about them getting separated from the Stalkers, though, as happened in the first engagement. All the Stalkers got picked off, and these Void Rays just had free reign of that. What's it called? I can't believe I just forgot it. Immortal. Bad brain fart there. That is a lot of Hydralisks. Wow. You have a couple sentries moving in, probably just to provide Guardian Shield, maybe a couple force fields, but against an all-ranged army, those force fields aren't going to do a whole lot. Do see some ghosts in there, so I believe that Lawrence here is planning to EMP his Protoss opponents. Not going to do much against the Zerg, since none of these units really have energy or shields. That'd be very strange to see. A shielded Zerg. Still no speed on the Zerglings, but he's obviously not committed any resources to Zergling production. Actually, I don't think I've seen a Zergling all game, so. You have this Overseer moving out. And it looks like Chris and Lawrence are moving out through the top path as well. But TriLObyTE did see this. Do have a scan dropping for Lawrence here. Oh, you better get off that ramp quick. You have an engagement going down. Snipes and Overlord real quick. No one really wants to engage. There we see the tanks go. Tank fire starts. Those, oh my goodness, those Stalkers got absolutely obliterated, but there are a lot of Hydralisks here, and they are on creep, so they do have a movement speed bonus. They are taking apart the Marauders really quickly, but it's the Void Rays that are the real problem at this point. and too many Void Rays are still alive. There are still, what is that, 6 Void Rays still. Colossus is out, but that's not going to be real effective against Marauders. That queen is gone. Sorry about that. Do have a bunch of queens out, but they're not engaging. Do pick off one that was weak. You need to see a transfuse there. Nice micro. A couple stalkers blink in, distract them. Do lose that middle queen though. A couple more Hydralisks scream in. These, I think these Void Rays are toast. There's not enough firepower here remaining to do see another transfuse on that queen, and we do see this last Void Ray retreating. I don't think he's going to be able to get away from those stalkers though. They do have blink, as well as level 1 upgrades. You have a couple Colossi just going to march straight into this base, so they got to be wary of that missile turret. Not good. Just sacrificed both those Colossi, just suicided them straight into Lawrence's base. That was a huge resource loss. Looks like he's switching from Colossi back to Immortals. Did get the range upgrade as well for those Colossi. Very heavy tech investment that really I don't think TheOne should have made. Excuse me. You have this wall of cannons up front, which is going to make breaking this down really difficult. No further expansions from either player yet. We finally see that Nidus Worm. Very excellent choice. I think this is one unit / building thing that is not used by Zerg nearly enough. You have additional Stargates on the way out, but those Hydralisks are already in the base. They are not going to be able to start anything before they get taken out. Those Void Rays are on the way in, but this choke is kind of slowing things down here, and it looks like we do see a retreat. I would have tried to stick around to see if we could snipe more of those, but oh well. There's no way these Void Rays are going to catch that Overseer, and we do see everything retreating back to base. He's just deploying these Hydralisks back at his home base. We need to see this creep kind of spread out to the edge, but not a big deal at the moment. TriLObyTE needs to continue spreading this creep. Those Hydralisks really are only effective as offensive units on creep. Otherwise, they get kited really easily, which is kind of an oxymoron, because creep is usually where your base is. But oh well, it's how Hydralisks work. You have some more. Oh geez, Colossus and Immortals in this mix. A lot of Stalkers still here. Do see these players just continuing to crank out Void Rays. Chris here on those Void Rays, and Lawrence with the Marauders and tanks, and with a couple Medivacs now, as well as Hellions at the front lines. Those Hellions I don't think are going to last real long though. They do have the Blue Flame upgrade though, so they will be pretty potent. What is the level on those? We do see level 1 upgrades for Lawrence. Looks like we're going to see a drop from Lawrence. And TheOne has taken this top expansion here. Going to continue to supplement his income. He did mine this out fairly quickly. Then again, TriLObyTE is almost spent as well. Chris is mined out as well. And Lawrence is pretty much only relying on his natural for income at this point. These players really need to make a commitment to expanding more, or they're going to really risk running dry here. You have a lot of Hydralisks coming in still. We need to see that creep get under those Hydralisks, or they're only going to be effective as defensive units. Just look how slow they are off a creep. They just don't do well attacking units off creep. If units come into their range, they shred them, but chasing a unit down is a little more difficult. We do see Chris going for the gutsy move and taking the middle gold expansion here, grabbing both assimilators as well. I really hope that he can afford to defend this. This is a pretty heavy investment, and I think TriLObyTE did not see it actually. So very quick snipe of that drone stopped everything, stopped him from scouting this expansion. But TriLObyTE is aware that they are planning to move out again, and hopefully they muster up their forces. We do see the Hydralisks get pulled off this ledge, thankfully, and engage here on the low ground. Excuse me again. No production out of Lawrence whatsoever right now. There we go. We do see some more Marines coming out. The starport was built, but I've only seen a couple of medevacs. Dual starports, but only a handful of medevacs here. The second starport seemed a little excessive to me, but it's not my call. And we do see Lawrence lifting off. Oh, he built an expansion here and is lifting it to the middle. It's kind of a long way to fly. Really slows things down. You see, they did spot that Overlord, and Chris did snipe it. Looks like both players are planning to really muster up their forces here. Those Colossi may, if anything, they may just be enough distraction to let the Stalkers and Hydralisks do their work. I would almost rather see him move up just a little farther. You don't want to move him into those tanks' range, but you don't want to engage at this kind of, it's a wide choke, but it's still a choke. You want to kind of engage where you have a little more room, where you can physically move into a concave position, because that lets more of your units attack at once. You do have the one grabbing this upper Guardian Tower. This other one is unclaimed at the moment, but Lawrence and Chris are looking pretty good with these gold expansions. This is going to be a lot of money really quick, as we can tell. Chris is having quite a bit of trouble spending it all. He's already at 1,000 resources, but only 80, 90 Vespane now. As we can tell, we do see Chris and TriLObyTE actually choose to engage. They are trapped on this ramp though, so this is not going quite as well as I think they had hoped. The Colossi are doing a lot of damage to the ground-based units though. They finally get through that choke, and there's a lot of firepower going in here. You do have a kind of a wraparound going. These units are kind of balled up. We do see a retreat. Not a good idea at this point. There's a lot of firepower going in between there. So far, I would say it's still just even. You do see a major retreat from TriLObyTE, choosing not to commit the rest of his forces. Lawrence is pressing forward though. Do snipe that creep tumor, snipe another one, and maybe this one. Not good. That's what really let TriLObyTE engage with the creep that was spreading all the way up here. Now Lawrence smartly took out those creep tumors and chose to retreat. And it looks like TriLObyTE is engaging again. There is a lot of cannons going down though, which is going to provide quite a bit of distraction. You need to focus down those void rays. The queens are hitting them pretty quickly. There are quite a few queens in this mix, so they're doing fairly well actually. With all of Lawrence's forces pretty much broken though, the Colossi are going to have a free reign on these cannons. So with these Colossi in the mix, those cannons aren't going to be quite as effective. And one more void ray here. There it goes. If they can just knock out a couple of pylons, this will be safe. They do choose to wrap around and knock out the probe line instead though. Extract the simulator of all things. We do have a couple of tanks and a Marauder moving up in the back, but they're moving way too far. Probably a miss rally right there. Don't sacrifice. There we go. Do you see this? There we go. Cannons are down. Do you have a couple of Immortals and more Stalkers in here? We still have a handful of Hydralisks in the mix, and they have completely shut down this gold expansion. This one is still up and mining at this point though. You have a steady stream of Marauders coming in, and there is absolutely no air units for TheOne or the TriLObyTE. So this air superiority is really starting to take its toll on TriLObyTE and TheOne here. I believe that was an overcommitment. They extended a little farther than I think they were comfortable. Those Marauders are doing a good job of tearing things apart here. That These Immortals really need to get to work though. There go the tanks that only have a mule and a couple Marauders retreating now. Big commitment that I think was an overextension of their capabilities at this point. We just need to hurry and shut this expansion down. The Immortals are chasing off the Marauders and tanks here. Neither of those units are good against Immortals at all. There goes the expansion. Going to shut down these missile turrets as well, just clear things out. We just have that assimilator there, but that's really not a big deal at this point. So the question now remains, did they end up gaining more than they spent in that expansion? I believe the answer is yes, but they have to completely resupply their armies at this point. So they have to be very careful about how they go about this. TriLObyTE and TheOne, though, are in a precarious position because they're pretty much completely mined out. The One does have this this third up here that is going heavy and strong, but he can only do so much by himself against two supplying opponents. Looks like the One wants control of that watchtower to watch that back passage. Did lose control of this one to this pesky SCV, and it is getting chased away. Looks like he's not going to grab that and just keep going. We do have the One committing to an expansion here at the gold. Hopefully he gets that up before he loses too much. Both players are supplying their army pretty quickly here. Mostly we're seeing a lot of units come from Lawrence. The problem with those Void Rays is they're fairly mineral expensive, but really gas expensive. 250 is a lot of gas. Oh, 150, my bad. That was a carrier. It seems a little more expensive than normally. You have both players kind of doing the opposite now. Lawrence and Chris here are stuck at the front, while the One and TriLObyTE here and hold position on the ramp. I really like that they're holding the top of the ramp as well and not below it, because I think that was a big factor in how the engagement went down in the last fight. Because Lawrence and Chris were down here, which, well, I guess it wouldn't have been that much of a deal with the Void Rays in that mix particularly, but I gotta be really iffy about how this goes down. They don't want to commit too heavily. Oh, come on. And we do see him pulling back just a tad. Looks like Chris is trying to set up his third natural expansion. You do have this Overseer just chilling here at the top, probably grabbing some info on if they're going to move out or not. I don't think they're aware of this expansion at all. It is up now, and we do have kind of an oversaturation of probes, but at this point he just doesn't have anything else left to mine, so it's really not a big deal. Only one probe on each of these assimilators, not something I really agree with, but oh well. So this base is up and saturated, is mining fairly quickly actually. The One has a hunch that this has been taken and needs to be shut down pretty quickly. Interestingly enough, they haven't chosen to really say anything other than just click on the notification thing. Do have the Marauders kind of sneaking up and around. He does have this watchtower though, so he is aware of all this. Not a good idea. I am well aware that both players need to expand, but they also need to keep their forces together. Neither player is going to be able to stand up to this by themselves, so they're doing a very risky thing at this point. The only thing I can say about this expansion is it's going to be hard to really get everything in here, especially with aerial defenses. Looks like Chris is worried about his mineral line from siege tanks up on the ledge, but Lawrence is, I'm sorry, not Chris, TheOne. But Lawrence is choosing just to bunker down and defend this potential expo. Looks like Chris can't afford, has decided he's not going to wait around any longer and is committing to an attack. Not sure, well, this one's probably easier to attack, but there's a lot of units going in there. Well, those zealots are toast. You have the Void Rays on the retreat, actually. Everything's just camping out of the back. Nexus full of energy, but it's going down really quick here. Actually, didn't kill the probes, pretty interestingly. You have kind of a pincer movement. These tanks did move down and have to stop mining from this mineral line. The Marauders are moving in, though, and it looks like get chased away by a couple of these, a bunch of these Hydralisks. You have upgrades going down, level 1 ground carapace and level 1 missile attacks for the Zerg finally. I'm actually kind of surprised at how long they've been without upgrades. Alright, it looks like the Hydralisks are engaging the Void Rays. Chris calls good game because he cannot afford to resupply one bit. He's completely spent. And Lawrence has decided he can't survive with that by himself, so he goes ahead and calls good game too. I really liked a lot of the tactics that were used in this game. The choosing the creep spread was phenomenal by TriLObyTE. He did a good job in keeping creep under his Hydralisks, which is probably why he didn't want to move out too badly from here, because all he had were Hydralisks and no creep spread. There's not a single creep tumor down here. They did a good job of breaking this hold here at the gold expansions, and wow, I really got to say this was a good game. The Nidus Canal tactic was excellent. I would have liked to see a little more variable play from TheOne here. Sorry, really bad. That's terrible. Maybe Dark Templar or some kind of drop or something. I know that's not entirely feasible against Terran because of their scans, and the warp prisms are really weak, but they did a good job of countering the air superiority and had a really good army composition between the two of them. I'm Phobos, once again, casting for BronzeLeagueGaming. If you'd like us to cast one of your games, submit it to bronzeleagueperspective@hotmail.com. Like us on Facebook, just search Bronze League Perspective and you'll pull us up. I try and stay pretty close contact with the people who view our sites regularly. I really appreciate any views, likes, comments, anything you want to leave. Helps us out no matter what it is. Thanks. I'm Phobos. We'll see you next time.